But yeah, fellas, if you're looking for an excuse to tell the missus, golf trip. Good morning from Pattaya. That's right, morning. So had a couple of days off the booze now and I'm feeling fresh. So today I'm going to catch up with Sam a little bit later for lunch. I plan to go for a skate in the afternoon, but for now I'm just taking a walk along the beach. I'm catching up on a podcast and doing a bit of people watching. There's some interesting specimens out at this time of the day. So alcoholism is a real problem here in Thailand, especially here in Pattaya. It's amazing now. Even as I walk down the street, it's only 11 o'clock in the morning, and as I walk along Beach Road, it's crazy to me how many people are already sitting in the bars just drinking beers. All these people, just old men sitting by themselves drinking a beer alone, and they don't really look happy. Now, don't get me wrong, if you come here on holidays, that's a completely different story. So back when I used to come here on holidays, I'd go crazy, you just come over here partying the whole time, and I totally get that. I'm not talking about that. What I want to address is more the long-term people living here and people that live here permanently. It's just crazy to me how many people you see all day, every day, just sitting in bars drinking beers. So for me personally, as much as I love this town, and I'm here all the time, you know that, but as much as I love this place, I couldn't live here permanently because there's so much of a drinking culture here and everything you do kind of revolves around drinking here. For me, living in Bangkok, living in a major city, it's much easier to live just a normal lifestyle. And that's not to say there's no temptation in Bangkok, because it is definitely there, but there's so much more else to do. And living in a major city, everyone that lives in my building goes to work every day, and they're off to work every day, they come home in the evenings, live much more of a normal routine life. Whereas this place, there's not a whole lot happening here during the day, and the place really comes alive at night. And that's not to say that I don't have any self-control or I couldn't have any self-control if I lived here, because I do, often when I'm down here, I don't go out drinking every day. A lot of the times that I do come down here, it is to party and catch up with friends. And I honestly don't drink that much in Bangkok, and I save it up for when I come down here and have a bit of a blowout for a few days and then I'll go back. So in Bangkok, I find it's just so many more normal things to do. It's such a big city. I'm always exploring, visiting new local neighborhoods, trying out new restaurants, checking out cafes, and exploring around the city. There's so much to see, and there's so much more of it that I haven't seen yet. If you live here or you stay here long term, you need to get good at saying no to people, it's challenging because there is always something happening here. It's always someone's birthday, there's always some event on, there's always something is happening. If you get to know 50 people here, which is really easy to do, if you get to know 50 people here, then that's on average one birthday a week. And then it's my sister's birthday, my friend's birthday, bar celebration. There's always something, and you'll end up going out all the time if you're not careful. So you do need to get good at saying no. And for me, that's another good reason to live in Bangkok. I can just slip away or not tell people I'm here or whatever. But this town is a constant party. So if you get FOMO, fear of missing out, then, it can be hard to just stay at home while your friends are out partying every night. But, the longer you live here, the easier it does get, unless you become dependent on it, and then it can be a real challenge. Yo! What's going on? What's happening? 45 minutes late. Sorry, everyone. So I brought Sam to Ramen Ozawa, which is my favorite ramen place here in Pattaya.
This will be my first. It's my first ever ramen.
Unbelievable. Arigatou gozaimasu. Kopenga. Thank you. Oh, arigatou gozaimasu. I haven't said that for ages.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss Japan now. Kopenga. So I think it's important, if you do come here and you're planning on spending a decent amount of time here, is to find hobbies, you know, things that keep you interested, that don't revolve around drinking and that you can do during the daytime. For me personally, it's skating. And the other day I went for a skate and afterwards I met Sam and we were hanging out, and the following day he said to me, you know, he's like, that's the brightest and the happiest I've seen you in days. You had a little bit of extra pep in your step. And that's because I've been for a skate and I've done something really positive and I felt really good that afternoon.
Watching the rise, and I wouldn't say I'm shocked cause I'm always surprised. This one's for the ride, this one's for who knew I make it, just needed some time. This one's for my wife, could've left 1,000 times just about my side.
Oh my god, so hot here. So Thailand is definitely not the ideal country for skating with how hot it gets, and there are some indoor parks that I go to in Bangkok that are quite cool. This one's like, I'm in direct sunlight, I'm getting blasted here, but it's still good. I feel good being outside doing something positive. I mean, it's like 2:30 now, most of my friends are probably just waking up, so I feel good that I'm doing this. There are actually many things that you can do here in Pattaya that don't revolve around drinking. You know, skating's a good example. I know golf is really popular here. I'm not into golf at all. Skating and golf doesn't usually cross over, but I know there's some world-class golf courses here. I always figure that's just an excuse guys tell their wives, oh, we're going on a golfing trip off to Pattaya, but I do know there are some world-class golf courses here. But yeah, fellas, if you're looking for an excuse to tell the missus, golf trip.
Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Have a toast for the real. They done baptized the bad guy. Still don't follow the bitch.
All right, I'm done. Time for a beer. I'm just kidding. Did I mention it's warm today? Unfortunately, a huge problem here is suicide amongst expats, and this happens at quite an alarming rate. It's quite surprising, the figures, and I think a lot of it revolves around alcoholism. You know, with being an alcoholic comes things like depression, you run out of money, you know. A lot of these people, I think, also experience loneliness. So if you hang out in these bars all day and you chat with these bar girls that you're buying drinks for and everything, it may seem like they're your friends, and some can be. You know, you can form meaningful relationships with these people, but a lot of it is also just purely transactional, and that ends up, these people get this feeling of isolation and loneliness when you realize these people aren't your true friends. Money is also a big factor here. You know, drinking isn't cheap. Like, it is much cheaper than back home, but you know, you're still paying like $3 plus for a beer, and if you're doing that every single day, that adds up. You can actually spend quite a lot partying here. You know, I'll spend $200-300 on a big night out if I'm bouncing around bars and then hit a club and get a bottle. You know, it ends up being quite expensive, and you know, I don't go bar fine girls or pay for girls or whatever, but if you did that, then the cost of your night just goes way up. Unfortunately, a lot of these people that have these sort of transactional friendships, it ends up costing them a lot of money because you need to buy these people drinks for them to engage with you, and I think people's idea of what they can budget for doesn't always work out. Yeah. God, thank you. Bye-bye. So when I come to Pattaya, I often like to stay, I'm in Prasamnak at the moment, and I often like to stay in Prasamnak or Jomtien to sort of get away from all the madness. Other times I come down here with the sole purpose of partying, and I'll stay right in the center of town, but sometimes I like to just come here and, you know, chill out by the beach, and I'll bring my skateboard down and, you know, have a kind of more of a wholesome trip down here. So I think if you stay Pratamnak, Jomtien, they're great areas, it's cheap, you're by the beach, it's super chilled, and it's a completely different vibe, and it's sort of easier to stay away from the temptation. It's still close enough that you can just jump in a Bolt and head down a walking street for a fun night out. But not being surrounded by it, and not having the chance of like running into someone who's like, hey, just come and have a quick beer, and then, you know, how it always goes, one beer turns into 2, which turns into 10, which turns into bottles, which turns into, you know, where it goes after that.
Let's have a toast for the